What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the PT Coffee Cast, brought to you by The Movement. My name is Dalton, and alongside me today is my beautifully bearded friend, William. William, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Just finished seeing a few clients, just hanging out. I've had 4 coffees today,
Oh my God.
so I'm ready to go.
1:42 p.m. on a Monday.
Yep. It was too many, but, here we are. Can't go back in time, right?
Can't take it back. Can't take it back. That's good, though. I mean, sounds like a productive morning.
Yeah, it was, I think. Yeah. What about you?
Been good. Yeah, I've probably only had 3 coffees, so one behind you. Spent the morning meeting with some community partners, which is actually a nice little, what is that called in a story when you talk about it before and then it comes up later on?
Full circle? Foreshadowing?
That's
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
There we go. Nice.
Our episode today, which is I love doing that kind of stuff. I'm always stoked about connecting with people who are aligned with us as a business, and not even as a business, just as as a business and what they're trying to accomplish. When those things align with community partners, it's so great. I love that aspect of what we do, but we'll get into that. Before we do that, though, guys, make sure you're following us on Instagram at PT Coffeecast. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on your podcast platform so you don't miss out on any of our new episodes. We do have applications open for our second cohort, which we're still looking for some people to join that, which we're super stoked about launching. So if you want to apply for that, you can apply through the show notes on Instagram, show notes in this podcast, or through our bio on Instagram. And then make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel if you want to see our beautiful faces instead of just hear our beautiful voices. But yeah, let's get into it. Continue on with our conversation about community partners. I like the use of this laptop today. I think it adds a little bit of sophistication to our podcast setup. Normally it's on the whiteboard, but now we have a laptop with some beautiful stickers, which I'm sure they can see the sticker of your son. They can see the podcast logo. They can see the movement logo. So that makes me happy.
Kind of looks like, every once in a while I can kind of do something with my hand and make it look like I'm like producing or something.
Yeah.
When in reality,
it's just us trying not to forget what we actually want to talk about.
Exactly.
Which today we want to talk about 2 mistakes we see people make when it comes to building community partnerships. So this is a big part of what we do at the movement. When it comes to like referrals, let's say, which is always a question that we get and people want to know where your referrals come from. We don't have a doctor referral, like a specific doctor referral, which is probably different than a lot of clinics. That's usually the one partnership that you'll know a lot of physiotherapists will have. We don't have a specific one. It's just not kind of what we pursued when it came to like trying to start to connect. It's not that we're opposed to that. There's people out there that would align with what we do, but we've really focused on building like community partnerships with people that align with us. And we've learned a lot about that process. Things that we've done well, things that we've not done so well. And these 2 mistakes that we're going to hit on are pretty common ones that we see happening for both businesses and just like individual clinicians.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like, you don't have to be a business to benefit from this conversation.
Yeah. You as an individual clinician looking to connect and work with people that fire you up, you're going to want to build community partnerships, and you're going to want to not make these 2 mistakes. Let them know what the 2 mistakes are, Will.
Oh, I'm doing that, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the first one is skipping the entire process. Okay?
Yeah.
So skipping the entire process, and then the second one is being too passive in the process.
Yeah, so those are definitely 2 big things we see. And when we say skip the whole process, like what we mean by that is literally going from like, hey, I really like what you guys do as a community. Can I work with your people? Is really like the summary of skipping the whole entire process of what we believe is marketing, which is fostering a meaningful relationship. So a lot of people will go into those relationships immediately thinking like, how can I get their people to come and see me? And that's really all you're focusing on, which isn't the right way to approach fostering a relationship.
And like, it's going in with the wrong mindset of I'm going to get something in return right away from this person. Something that we see a lot.
Yeah. And obviously, a relationship, a partnership is beneficial to both people. So we can't sit here and say, like, we're not approaching other businesses or people that we see ourselves working with without getting anything in return from them. Like, that's what a relationship is. But we're not going into it immediately being like, hey, give me your people. It's like, hey, how can we connect and see if we can work together on elevating our businesses, our communities together, right? And I think the kind of process that we have laid out and kind of followed is these steps, which is like you go from being involved to adding value to spreading awareness to then booking clients or having some value returned to you is kind of the process that we've developed or followed when it comes to fostering partnerships or relationships instead of going from connecting to booking clients.
And the reason we call it like fostering a meaningful relationship and we take that approach is because if you can imagine, and we can talk about our experiences being business owners, but like if you can imagine maybe you run a gym or something, you started this and you really care about the people that you're working with, that you're helping get stronger. You care, you know them as people, about their families, right? You know about the progress that they've made, and somebody comes wanting to work with them in another capacity. Work with those people that they trust you, they pay you their money, right? It requires trust from the other end that, from the perspective of like, oh, I'm trusting you with my members or my clients. And we know from just being physios, like trust takes time to build, right? And it is a relationship. And you have to know things about that person. You have to understand that there's alignment, and so that's why we think it's better to focus on the relationship versus just going in and trying to get something.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you should be met with a bit of protection from the people that you're going to connect with. Like, I would hope that if I went to a community partner and I wanted to like start developing a relationship, that they wouldn't just let anyone walk into their business and start, connecting or like offering services to their client. Like, I would hope that they vet that person and see if they have the values that aligns with their business. I would probably not necessarily even pursue a partner that just like gives that all up almost in a sense, like, and not be protective of it. And like any good partnership that we've connected with in our time here, we've had to earn that trust. Like we have to start to build a relationship and build trust and build connections and show that we have value that can add to their community that aligns with how they view things. And that's a good thing. Like, you want to be connecting with those types of people.
And we've heard how it goes and we've experienced it ourselves when somebody goes and just tries to skip the entire process and it comes off a certain way.
Yeah, for sure. And like, people are going to recognize that, when they haven't taken a single second to look at what you're about, what you do, what you stand for, how you approach whatever you're doing, in our case, care, how we work with clients, what our vision is. Like, someone comes into the movement and tries to sell an ultrasound machine. It's like, okay. Have you took a single second to like evaluate what we do? No. Why would I give anyone that does that time? you know? It's like, even if that guy was selling an ultrasound machine, if he came in here and was talking about like, hey, I see you guys do this and I see you do that and I see that you guys have clients and like blah, 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 and start to make connection and build relationship with me and try to like at least show that there's some interest in like what we do, and then says like, hey, this is what I do, we're still not going to buy their ultrasound machine, but at least they've taken the time to connect and whatnot, you know? But like when people don't do that, it's so obvious and it's such a turnoff, you know? I don't have time for it.
And it could be like, maybe like there's potential for a relationship there, but the way it's like approached is like way off, and you can tell that person's just not that invested. They just want to have you send referrals to them. And we've had like community partners who who we work with and have relationships with, who have had, for example, like a gym had like a chiropractor come in and didn't really know what they were about, like was asking about some of the equipment, and it's like relatively harmless, but it's like you're not really that passionate in what I'm doing and what I'm doing for my members or our mission here, or the kind of culture we have.
Yeah, you're just trying to see if you have a chiro that you refer to, and if you don't, will you refer to me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know from experience with working with those people that never works.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Because they go, okay, sounds good. See you later.
Yeah. And I think like, going through this whole process, like something like to give you a little bit of an example of what that might look like, right? Like, being involved. So let's take a CrossFit gym, for example. Being involved is the first step in the process. So that probably means you're going and you're doing a class. You're just going to work out in their community and start to see how they operate, just see the type of people that are in there, start connecting with a coach or start connecting with members and just going and being involved in, what they're doing. And that just, one, shows that you're invested and interested in them. It also gives you an opportunity to see the type of people that are there. How do they communicate with each other? How do the coaches communicate with the clients? How does the client communicate to the coach? What do they really stand for? And what do they put at the forefront of their values as a CrossFit gym? You can pick up on a lot of that stuff in just being involved in a class, which does two things in my mind. It, one, shows, is this someone that I actually want to be a part of? And two, it starts getting you to see, okay, how can I help them solve a problem that they need solved? Is there certain things that make sense for me to be able to help them with or provide value, right? Which then goes into the next one, which is like adding value. So how do you add value to the CrossFit gym without expecting anything in return? Well, because you've dropped into the class maybe once or twice and you've made some connections with coaches and you've made some connection with members, you start to find that there's this challenge with the gym that a lot of people are, developing like low back pain from deadlifting. And for whatever reason, it's starting to develop and it's been a common thing. And the coaches have had a hard time being able to help someone through that or provide opportunities for them to continue to train even when they have back pain. So then you start to think, okay, what is my skill set and how can I add value to that in order to help them solve that problem? And that could be you host a workshop, or you provide them with a PDF, or you ask them like, hey, I've been noticing this. I think I can help you with this. What would you be interested in me doing something with you? Or is there anything I could do to help you with this? And then that leads you to being able to add value to their, to their community, is like the first two steps.
Yeah, and you're adding value. You're not expecting anything really in return. And this is only after you've gotten involved.
Yeah, and being involved can take multiple times. It could take multiple sessions. It could take multiple weeks, months. Like, there's no time frame on that. Sometimes it happens quickly. Sometimes it takes a while. But if you are identifying that this is a place that you want to be and be involved in, and they align and you think you can add value, you just keep showing up. and you keep being involved until you have an opportunity to add value, and then you add that value, and then once you're adding that value, that then allows for the awareness to spread about what you do, because now you're doing some type of workshop, which even at that point you're adding value. You might continue to add value in multiple different ways before ever seeing any quote unquote return, clients booked in, let's say, on that investment. And that could be months, that could be a year. You don't know how long that's going to be, but you're going to continue to add value and have your awareness being spread, which eventually at some point will result in them seeking you out to help solve that problem that they have, which is going to end up being them booking in with you as clients to utilize your services.
I think something that, we've noticed, and I'm sure people have heard the idea of like word of mouth and stuff like that, but you got to be patient with it, because it could just be one person that books in with you that you're able to crush it with, and then word starts getting around. But you can't rush that. You can't force that.
No, and the second you try to force it, it just doesn't become like it becomes fake in a sense, and people really pick up on that forced action.
Exactly. But opportunity comes up where people know you're a physio because you've maybe done a workshop, you've been around, you've been at that place for a while. Then they get hurt, they book in with you, you crush it with them, and they start telling people. And the power of that is huge, right? Especially if you have some trust in the community already, because you've been around.
What you should, because you've been being involved, you've been adding value, and you've been spreading awareness, right? And I think another way to look at this is like, we know that it takes a long time to build trust and build a relationship with a client so that they buy into us being able to help them solve their problem. The same thing goes when you're trying to build a community partner or a community relationship. It's the same thing. You take the same principles and you just apply it to that. It's no different.
Exactly. And the way to approach this as just an individual is no different than how we approach it as a company. Like, it's not like as a company we're just sending out and eat, like we're doing this. It's just you going to a place, building a relationship, genuinely loving what that person's doing. We're not working with anyone that we're not like stoked about what they're doing and actually want to be involved. You know?
Yeah. Individual clinicians here have done that outside of us. Like, we have clinicians that work for us that have gone out and started to develop and foster these relationships, separate of me doing it for our business. So anyone working in any clinic can do that. And I know for a fact that, like, if you're an individual within a company and you start doing that, like, your company's not going to be mad at you about it. Like, you're building relationships with people that are going to come to their clinic and you're going to crush it with them and they're going to have a good experience. Like, everyone has benefit from that.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of ties into, like, number 2 on the list, which is like, you can't be passive in that relationship. And what I think the best example of that would be is, like, say you want to go work with that CrossFit gym. You walk into the CrossFit gym with your business card. You go to the front desk. They have someone there. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe it's like a manager. You give them the card, and then you walk out and you leave. Like, that's a passive approach to building a relationship that most likely is not going to foster a meaningful relationship.
And to be clear, it's not horrible to do that. It's just that you probably can't end there.
Right.
Like, it's okay to go in and just meet people and
right.
Say hi.
Yeah. You're right.
Right? But then being passive is like just expecting that that's going to
be the thing that's going to get you to get that return or build that relationship. It's a very good point. Yeah, because, like, that might be your initial introduction to them, but what's important is, like, you don't just stop there. You continue to show up and connect and try to find different ways to build that relationship. And it just takes a lot of work, man. Like, that's the simple part of it is like it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do that. But like anything, if you put the time, the effort to foster it, it's going to grow and give you return, and you're going to be able to help them as well, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, if you're truly passionate about your career and you want to see a certain type of people, and you think that would be fulfilling, like put the work in, take the time to actually make that happen, rather than just sit there and hope it does.
Yeah, and it's something we talk about in the mentorship, you know, and like one of the last modules about like filling your caseload with clients that fill you up. And a big part of that whole module is what we talk about here. You know, but one of the reasons we feel like people leave the profession is they just don't feel fulfilled with some of the people that they're working with. And as a clinician and within a clinic, like I can see, you know, how you feel like you almost can't do that, right? You feel like, oh, these are just the people that are showing up, but you can take that power into your own hands and start to create those relationships. And if those people start finding that you help them and they get value from it, they're going to tell more people, and those type of people that you're looking to work with are going to continue to come to your clinic to work with you, to the point where your caseload is filling up with those clients to where you don't have space to take on other clients because it's filled with the people that you want to see. Now, it's going to take time, but that can happen.
Exactly.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that kind of hits on it. So, you know, those are probably the two biggest mistakes that we see. Focus on the full process. You can't skip any of it. You can't go from the first date to the marriage in 1 second. It can't be that fast. And then the second part is, what was the second one?
Let's consult our handy list here. This is why
we
have it.
We just talked about it. Don't be passive.
You can't skip the process, and you can't be too passive in the process.
There you go. That's the summary.
We're a combined 7 coffees deep, but hey, it happens.
Yeah. But that's all we got for today, guys. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast on your podcast platform so you don't miss out on any other episode. Make sure you are following us on Instagram. We put out clips, content there. Make sure that if you are interested in joining the mentorship, you check out the application. We are taking people for our second cohort right now, looking to fill that up. So you can do that in the show notes in this episode or through the Instagram bio. And then lastly, make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can see our beautiful faces if you want. Yeah, that's all we got for today, guys. As always, stay caffeinated. Peace.